Good morning, everyone. Like I said, I'm Lawrence. I'll be hosting today's webinar. Today's webinar will be understanding the admin portal dashboard so we can efficiently manage your FileCloud system. So in today's webinar, we will be talking about the different reporting components of the FileCloud admin portal, particularly the rich dashboard. Let me just enable the pointer here. So we've got the rich dashboard. We'll be covering navigation of the admin portal, and as well as the reports that you can get out of the admin portal dashboard. So to start off, let's go ahead and examine the rich dashboard. So when you log into the admin portal, the first thing that you will be seeing will be the rich dashboard. So from the rich dashboard, you will see a chart for client requests. So you can see here all requests coming from your clients. You could also change the data from a week's worth to a month up to 6 months. And there's also a refresh button up in here. From the chart down below, you can see the quota usage. So this is how much space is currently being used out of your subscription. So if you do have the online subscription, most likely you'll start off with a 1 terabyte space, or if you do run on if you are running FileCloud server, it depends on how much space you're allocating for your FileCloud server. You'll also see here the temp disk usage. Basically, you'll see information such as how many is currently being used out of the drive where your FileCloud storage, where you've assigned your managed storage to be stored. So this is right here. You could also see license information, particularly how much or how many licenses is currently being used, and what's the remaining number of licenses that's available. You could also see here a checkup checklist. So let me go ahead and just log into my admin portal and show you. Here we go. From the checkup checklist is basically just a checklist to give you an idea on what components you might need to go over. It's not actually required, and you manually put a check mark on which checklist is needed. So from here, these are just suggestions on what you could enable in FileCloud. So from here, you've got the basic setup. If you want to enable authentication based off of your AD or your LDAP server, that can be done here. If you need to set up network shares for on-premise instances, enabling sync and backup, if you need to do some customization and the other configurations, such as team folders. And then when you save it there, it will update the information from the checklist. Now, let me go ahead and go into statistics. So what you can see under statistics would be information on the number of licenses or the different type of user accounts that you have in your system. So you have here a summary of the number of full access user, guest access user, and your limited users. You could also see a list or a summary of the total number of groups, contents of your My Files, your network folders, user shares that have been created by your users or created from within your FileCloud system. You could also see the number or the different devices that have connected into FileCloud, your audit records, your current running audit records, and the emails that have been sent from the last 24 hours. This you'll see a small number here on my end because this is just a demo system. The information that you can access from that you can see from statistics, you can see the details on the left-hand side, which I will discuss further later on. You will also see a table for the governance components. So these are just the total number of compliance that's currently on your system. So this is a new feature that we will be introducing in the next week or two. You'll also see the total number of DLP rules that have been created in my system, retention policies, and if I do have any content classification rules. So next is that we do have the quick actions. So quick actions is just a quick link for you to be able to create a user, add a group, add a network share, and be able to promote an admin, which you could also do from a different location, which I will show later on. Moving on to the left side, you can see real-time DLP statistics. It also shows you a summary of the total number of active downloads, if there are any, uploads, shares, also active users that are currently logged into the system, and if you do have any violations based on your DLP rule. You'll also see a table with regards to your license information. So from the license information, you can see similar to the information above, which is this one right here. You can see a total number of license being used, total number of licenses for my system, expiration date, and where the license is currently tied up to. Ultimately, you'll have version information, which will, this would look the same if you are running on FileCloud server. This will show you what your current version is. If your FileCloud server or the host server is connected to the internet, it will be able to connect to our FileCloud server as well, and would be able to detect what's the latest version that's currently available, and if you do have an update available for it. So next, let's go ahead and move into the navigation panel of the admin portal dashboard. So basically, I'm just showing you a screenshot of the section. So you have the user and group section, which will allow you to manage your users, your groups, and be able to promote admin users. From here, you could add groups manually, users, groups, and promote your admin users. You also have the manage section, which composed of managing your team folders, network folders for those on-premise instances. You could also see here the user shares. This is what I've mentioned earlier. Let me show you. So from here, there's an equivalent for network folders. If you go into network folders, you can see how many actual network folders are in your system. You could also see the network shares. These are the user shares. These are the total number of shares that have been created in my FileCloud system. From here, you can see which user is creating the share, the location of the share, if it's a folder or a file. You can see if it's a private or a public share, the timestamp of the share, when the share was created. You could also edit the share permissions from here. If you are an admin user and you have access to user shares, you can manage the shares from here as an admin user and ultimately be able to delete the share from here. And also, you'll see folder permissions. It's basically the same, functions the same, or would have the same function as user shares. This will currently list down all of your folder permissions. I do not have one configured right now in my system, but you can see that one here. And ultimately, you have the notifications. These are the custom notifications for a user for a particular folder, where a user has the option to create their own specific notification for a specific file or folder. The admin can see it from here. The admin can also create a specific or a custom notification configuration for a specific user to a specific path or a file, and be able to modify which permissions or which notifications will be enabled for that user. So that's what you can see under manage notification. Now, the next thing that we would look into would be the devices. So what you can see under devices is basically would allow you to look into the different types of devices that's currently connected to your FileCloud system. So let me show you that one. If I go here, I could see a list of my user or the usernames, what devices they are using to connect to FileCloud. So if they're connecting from the desktop applications or the web browser, they could also be logging in from the Microsoft Outlook or the Office add-ins, FileCloud Sync, or iOS or the Android devices. You will see details regarding the devices that they've used, particularly the version of the operating system, the version of the mobile phone, or what mobile phone they're using, if it's an iOS or an Android. You can also see here the version of the app that they're using, the timestamp, what's the status of the device, because you can approve and actually block access to that device on the fly. If you are an admin and you have access to the devices section of the admin portal, you can do that one. And you can see actions from here and also logs. On the top, you can send a message if the user is currently logged into the system. You can actually put in a short message here. And if the user is logged into that device, the user will be able to receive a message from the admin user. And you can also get the logs from here. And that will be devices. Now let's move over into governance. So in the governance section, what you have in here would be, you'll see in the future, where if you notice, I do have two items here that shows a new flag. We do have an upcoming upgrade or a major update in our FileCloud system that will be in the coming days or week. And these are two of the updates that we will be including. So there's a new interface for creating DLP rules would be in here. If you notice, the interface would also change. We will also be introducing the compliance dashboard, which is this one. You will also see retention. This is, or under the governance section, this is where you're going to be creating your retention policies that you will need to apply to documents or directories. In the governance section, this is also where you would be creating your classification rules, so that you could automate classification of your documents based on the content that's being indexed from the documents uploaded into FileCloud. Now let's move on to the miscellaneous section. In the miscellaneous section, this is where you can access the audit logs, alerts in your system, alerts that you've created, that you've configured, alerts that are also being thrown by FileCloud. You can also see a summary of all the user locks. So if you're familiar with locking files or file locking, where users can lock the file if they want to be editing it and they don't want anybody to be editing or making modifications to the file, all the locks that have been created by all of your users in FileCloud will be listed here. You can even unlock any of the files from the admin portal. So in case the user forgot or had forgotten which file they placed a lock on, and you can control it from here. Also, you can access workflow and reports from here. Workflow right now is automation of specific actions in FileCloud. So basically, for example, if you want to be able to delete or frequently delete inactive users in the system, that can be created from a workflow. You can also access reports from here. Reports, I'll discuss further on that one later on. You could also run a federated search as an admin if you want to run searches for documents in your system, for all documents in your FileCloud system. That can be done here. You've got the metadata section under miscellaneous, where you can create different metadata sets. You also have some built-in metadata sets already created by FileCloud for you, so to automatically classify your documents. And then you can also build your own custom metadata sets. Other important information from the navigation panel would be settings. This is where you would be accessing configurations on your FileCloud system. Particularly, you've got your policies over here. You've got your license information. You've got the admin configurations, where you would store your FileCloud managed storage location would be in here. If you will need to integrate FileCloud with your AD or your LDAP server, this is the section where you're going to be going. And then, of course, you've got the miscellaneous configurations in here. So also, another component that you can access from the navigation panel would be customization. You've got all sorts of tabs in here that you can access, particularly how you would want the login page to look like, where you want to upload your logos, your custom icons for your FileCloud system can be here or can be added here. If you want to customize your UI messages, email templates, that will be under customization. And ultimately, you've got the system check and options to do an upgrade would be down here under system. So that basically that's it for the navigation panel. Now let me move on to reports. So what you can see here under reports, this is, if you may notice earlier, or actually have not covered it, but this is part of the rich dashboard. This first screenshot on the top. I'll cover this one shortly. And you could also access reports from the report section from what I've shown you earlier from the miscellaneous. So let's go over that one from the admin portal. So let me go back to the rich dashboard. This is what I did not cover earlier, because this is going to be part of the report section. So let me just go ahead and refresh just so to reload my page. Okay, give me a moment on that one. Okay, so going back to the admin portal, and then let's go back to the rich dashboard. So this is the section that I did not cover earlier. These are some of the reports that you can access from the admin portal. So from here, you can see the GeoIP location where it would show you red pins on where your users are logging in from currently. Unfortunately, I do not have any users showing up in here that's being detected. But if you do have any users, FileCloud would be able to detect their IP address and will be able to match it based on the location from our server and would show red pins on this map right here. On the right side, you can also see file type distribution and user file distribution. Shows you a pie chart of the percentage of the file types that's currently on your system, and as well as the file distribution, how much percentage of your files belongs to which user. Going down, you can also see here the storage quota for your users. So from here, it'll show you the top 5 lowest quota remaining. So that means the users that have consumed the most space out for their storage quota. So from here, you can see the username, the file count that's currently assigned to that user, how much space is being used for that user, and as well as how much storage quota is being assigned to that user. So where this can be configured from policies. And then you'll also see here client device information based on the operating system. So how much the number of users on your system that's currently using which type of operating system will be showing up in here. Now, aside from the reports that you can access from the rich dashboard, you can also access reports from the miscellaneous section in the reports view. From here, you can create custom reports. Some of the data that you can see from the rich dashboard can also be accessed from, or can also be created and could give you more information by creating reports from the admin or from the reports section. So if you can see here, I do have existing reports that I've pre-created. So I could create reports based on the shares, or I could get reports for shares based on the username. I could also get files that contain maybe a sample. A sample here would be U.S. Social Security number. This is actually based off of metadata that's currently tagged to the documents. I could get reports based on DLP rule violations. Storage quota can also be captured here. This is an example of getting more information aside from the rich dashboard data that you saw earlier. You can also get client information reports. If you want to create a report, you basically just click on add report here and go through the wizard that would let you create the report. We also did a separate session for reports and workflows that we already uploaded in our tutorial videos page in FileCloud, which we will be sharing in the email after the webinar. So yeah, so far, do we have any questions on the topics that we have covered? You could raise your hand. There's a Q&A section for the Zoom meeting where you could raise your questions. I could answer it online or I could answer it through chat as well. I'm going to give everyone some time to go over to absorb the information that for this webinar. And if you do have any questions, feel free to compose those questions and throw it out. We'll try to answer it at the best that we can. Or if no one else have any question, we'll be ending the webinar in a couple of minutes. Okay, so regarding the architecture and the design of the FileCloud system, we can get back to you on that one for through email. Unfortunately, this is something that we could not just give out right away. However, we could discuss it with our team, or you could have a different session to discuss the design and the architecture of the system. Do we have any more questions so far? Okay, so it looks like we've got all our questions here raised. Next step is that in case you are interested, feel free, or we actually encourage you to visit our tutorial videos page. We have the link over here. We'll also be sending out an email to everyone who joined, to our participants. If you need to go through our support team, you can send us an email through support@codelathe.com, or if you want to go through our support documentations for um, to review on your own, you can visit getfilecloud.com/support docs. And again, I would like to thank everybody for joining today's webinar and see you in our next webinar. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone.